Hello and welcome to the Net Moon Podcast. Today I'm going to tell you a book called Matilda. Let's go and read about the book. Chapter 1. The Reader of Books. It's a funny thing about mothers and fathers. Even when their own child is the most disgusting little monster you could ever imagine, they still think that he or she is wonderful. Some parents go farther. They become so blinded by adoration, they manage to convince themselves their child has qualities of genius. Well, there is nothing very wrong with all this. It's the way of the world. It is only when the parents begin telling us about brilliance of their own revolting offspring that we start shouting, "Bring us a basin! We are going to be sick!" School teachers suffer a good deal from having to listen to this sort of twaddle from proud parents, but they usually get their own back when the time comes to write the end of term reports. If I were a teacher, I would cook up some real scorchers for children of doting parents. "Your son, Maximilian," I would write, "is a total washout. I hope you have a family business you can punish him into when he leaves school, because he sure as heck wouldn't get a job anywhere else." Or if I were feeling illical that day, I might write, "It is a curious truth that grasshoppers have their hearing organs in the side of their abdomen. Your daughter, Vanessa, judging by what she's learned this term, has no hearing organs at all." I might even delve deeper into natural history and say, "The pudical Sarkina spent 6 years as a girl underground and no more than 6 days as a free creature of sunlight and air. Your son, Wilfred, has spent 6 years as a girl in this school, and we are still waiting for him to emerge from the chrysalis." A practically poisonous little girl might sting me into saying, "Fiona has the same glacier beauty as an iceberg, but unlike the iceberg, she has absolutely nothing below the surface." I think I might enjoy writing end-of-term reports for the stickers in my class. But enough of that, we have to get on. Occasionally, one comes across parents who take the opposite line, who show no interest at all in their children, and these, of course, are far worse than doting ones. Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood were two such parents. They had a son called Michael and a daughter called Matilda, and the parents looked upon Matilda in particular as nothing more than a scrap. A scrap is something you have to put up with until the time comes when you can pick it off and flick it away. Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood looked forward enormously to the time when they could pick their little daughter off and flick her away, preferably into the next country or even further than that. It is bad enough when parents treat ordinary children as though they were scraps and bunions, but it becomes somehow a lot worse when the child in question is extraordinary. And by that I mean sensitive and brilliant. Matilda was both of these things, but above all she was brilliant. Her mind was so nimble and she was so quick to learn that her ability should be obvious even to the most half-winded of parents. But Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood were both so gormless and so wrapped up in their own silly little lives that they failed to notice anything unusual about their daughter. To tell the truth, I doubt that they have noticed had she crawled into the house with a broken leg. Matilda's brother, Michael, was a perfectly normal boy, but the sister, as I said, was something to make your eyes pop. By the age of 1.5, her speech was perfect and she knew as many words as most grown ups.